Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game scheduled for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Wednesday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Kansas City Royals taking on the Minnesota Twins. Cole Ragans and Bailey Ober are your starters. Before we get into it, I want to mention I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, so bear with me if my voice goes out a little bit for this video. But in this game, we got a great pitching matchup. Ragans and Ober. Ober's been excellent at target field this season. Ragans has had a great season overall. The Twins have not done much against left-handed pitching recently, and I could see this being a really lower scoring game in the first 5 innings or so. Ober, throws a lot of strikes. Sometimes that could lead to some sharp contact, some home runs. I wouldn't be shocked to see a guy like Bobby Witt Jr. find a home run early in this game, but I still think it's going to be a lower scoring game early. I would take the under in the first 5, but I think eventually, if this is a close game late, the Twins have the better bullpen. I think the Twins find a way to win this game. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. They've been so strong against Kansas City when playing them at Target Field. Give me the Twins on the money line and the first 5 under. Next up, the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to see Tanner Gordon and Jordan Montgomery as the starters. I'm leaning towards the over in this game. Montgomery, he has given up. He's got a 6.37 ERA, an ERA above 8 at home so far. I know the Rockies are on the road, but they've already shown in this series that they could be competitive offensively. And I think they'll get to Montgomery for a few runs. I think the most of the damage when it comes to getting us over the total is going to come from the Diamondbacks here, who, they've been great offensively, especially in their home games recently. And, Gordon's pitched well in his last couple of starts, but I still think he's not necessarily a viable option at the Major League level right now. I think Arizona gets to him in a pretty weak Rockies bullpen. Give me the over in Colorado, Arizona. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the San Diego Padres. Mitch Keller and Martin Perez are the starters. Perez has pitched really well in his first couple of games as a Padre. We saw him against the Rockies and the Marlins, combined 13 innings of 3-run ball. Now, that's the Rockies away from Coors and the Marlins in general at Lone Depot Park, pretty, pitcher-friendly ballpark. Now it's a lot tougher here against the Pirates, who have been really solid against left-handed pitching recently. But I still think Perez could be okay in this start. I don't think it's going to be an amazing outing, but I like the fact that he's had 13 strikeouts his last 13 innings. He's starting to miss some more bats. His control's been a little bit better as well. Mitch Keller has pitched well this season, but 7 earned runs given up in that last game against the Dodgers, 2 home runs to go with it. I think these teams could kind of cancel each other out in the first few innings, which we've seen San Diego do plenty of times recently. They've just been in so many close games in the last couple of weeks, but the way San Diego's been able to win most of those close games late, I like their bullpen more in this matchup, so I'm going to lean towards the over, but more so the Padres on the money line. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Washington Nationals. DJ Hertz and Dean Kramer are your starters. Dean Kramer, it's a small sample size, but in 28 plate appearances against the current Nationals hitters, he only had 1 strikeout, 3.6% strikeout rate, which we know very, very low. And Kramer struggled at Camden Yards this season, 1-4 record, 5.4 ERA. I think the Nationals can put the ball in play against him. The Orioles have dropped the last 4 of his starts, so he's not in great form. I think the Nationals find a few runs on him, and then you look on the other side, DJ Hertz, a lefty facing an Orioles team that's heating up against left-handed pitching. I think we see a higher scoring game at Camden Yards. Give me the over. Next up, we'll go to Progressive Field as the Cubs take on the Guardians. We're going to see Jameson Taillon and Alex Cobb as the starters. Now, Alex Cobb, I've mentioned, I've been quite a fan of Alex Cobb's game the last couple of years. I didn't like what I saw from him in that last game, or his season debut, where he gave up a lot of sharp contact, a lot of base hits. He only had 1 strikeout in 4 innings of work, 4 2/3 innings against the Twins. And, that's definitely a concern for me. But I still think on the other side, Jameson Taillon gave up 5 earned runs in his last game. He's not necessarily in the best form, giving up 5+ runs in 2 of his last 3 starts. I think this is going to be a kind of a similar game to what we saw in the first game of this series, where we see both offenses show up, but in the end, I trust Cleveland more. I think their bullpen's far superior. Even their lineup, I think, is the better lineup at home. So give me the Guardians in this one and lean towards the over at Progressive Field. Next up, the Miami Marlins taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. No official starter for the Marlins, but Tyler Phillips should be going for Philadelphia. Phillips has struggled in his last couple of games, giving up 12 earned runs and 3 home runs his last 2 starts, 6 2/3 combined. Now, the Phillies were able to win one of those games against the Dodgers, but when you look at this Marlins team, even after the trade deadline, that bullpen's been pretty solid, in the last 30 days with a fifth best xFIP in baseball and a sub-4 ERA. I think the Marlins at least keep this game within a run, but if not, find a way to win it outright. I'm going to go with the Marlins plus the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, the Mariners and the Tigers. No official starter for the home team, but Brian Wu should be going for Seattle. Wu has quietly put together a really strong campaign. He started the season late, but 5-1 record with a 2.27 ERA. He's in great form, giving up 3 runs or fewer in each of his last 4 starts. By the way, one of those games was against Detroit, which was a win for Seattle 4-3. And the Mariners have won all 4 of those last 4 starts, with a couple of those wins being pretty impressive over the Astros and the Phillies. So, Wu's in great form. He's pitching at Comerica here. I think he puts together a strong outing. And the Tigers, no official starter. That bullpen has not been great in the last month. While Seattle's offense is tough to trust, game to game, I think it'll be enough here to win this one. So give me Seattle on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Gibson and Carson Spears are the projected starters. I think the Cardinals have the starting pitching advantage in this game. And when you look at Kyle Gibson on the road this season, 5-1 record with a 3.34 ERA. He's not been the best at Busch Stadium at times, but he's been sharp on the road. He's pitched at Great American Ballpark a few times in his career. He's pitched well in those starts. He pitched well against Cincinnati earlier this season. Carson Spears not in great form right now. He's given up his last 2 starts, 11 earned runs and 4 bombs to go with it in 10 2/3 innings. Both of those were blowout losses for Cincinnati. Give me the Cardinals in this game on the money line. Next up, the Astros and the Rays. We see Ronel Blanco and Zach Littell as the starters. This is a tough one because Ronel Blanco, while he's pitched well this season, recently not really pitching deep into ball games. He's gone less than 6 innings in 4 straight starts, which is a concern for me, but I think he'll still be the better option in the end. I think the Astros have the much better lineup right now. Zach Littell's got a 4.1 ERA on the season. He's been better at Tropicana Field, but even in his last game at the Trop against the Orioles, he wasn't sharp. 3 earned runs, 8 base hits, and a home run given up in a 4-1 Rays loss. That Rays offense is very situational, but recently just not getting it done. The bullpen, I still think, is one of the better bullpens in the American League. Fairbanks, one of the better closing pitchers in baseball, but I don't think it's enough here. Give me the Astros on the money line. Next up, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the New York Mets. Mitch Spence and David Peterson are your starters. Peterson's pitched well this year, 6-1 record, 3.34 ERA, but he has a 5.43 expected ERA for a reason. His strikeout numbers aren't the best. The walks are still pretty steep, and he's giving up a lot of sharp contact. I think he's been rather fortunate on the mound out there. And listen, he's been a profit machine for the Mets on the money line in his games, but I do worry about him going forward. He's also faced a pretty weak strength of schedule recently in terms of the teams he's played against. Now, the Oakland A's don't have a great record, but they have great numbers against left-handed pitching in the last month. A high walk rate, the 5th best team OPS in baseball, and the 3rd best isolated power against lefties in baseball in the last month. Spence is in pretty good form. I still think the Mets can get to him for a few runs, but I haven't been in love with the Spence offense recently. I'm going to go with the Oakland Athletics plus the 1.5 runs and on the money line in this one. Next up, the LA Dodgers taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. No official starter for LA, but Frankie Montas should be going for Milwaukee. I still don't necessarily love Montas in this rotation. Now, the Brewers have won his first 2 starts, in his first 2 games with Milwaukee, but he wasn't necessarily great in those games. 6 earned runs in 9 innings of work, so it's a 6 ERA and 2 home runs given up, 4 walks as well. I think the Dodgers get to him. This lineup's starting to heat up, and the bullpen's also starting to improve quite a bit. We know it struggled there for quite a while, but now the expected numbers in the last month, the Dodgers ranked 11th in xFIP, so they're getting there. They're improving. I got to go with the Dodgers in this one on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Jose Barrios and Tyler Anderson are your starters. Part of the reason why I was looking to fade Anderson early in the season was the fact that his strikeout numbers were not great. The walks were pretty steep as well. The expected numbers were just not great in general, but he is starting to improve in terms of the walks per 9 and the strikeouts per 9. He's had 7 strikeouts plus in 3 of his last 4 starts. So I'm willing to back the Angels in this game. The Blue Jays have not been great against left-handed pitching. Barrios still has a very steep expected ERA himself, and he's not been great on the road this year with a 2-7 record and ERA above 5. Give me the Angels in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the San Francisco Giants. We see Grant Holmes and Robbie Ray as the starters. Robbie Ray, 28 strikeouts and 20 1/3 innings of work. We know throughout his career he's been really good at missing bats, and this Braves team has struck out quite a bit against lefties in the last month. We saw what Blake Snell could do, a strikeout-dependent lefty, at the beginning of the series. I think Robbie Ray could put together a strong outing himself. Grant Holmes, while he wasn't his best in his last game, that was at Coors Field in his first start at Coors Field in his career. Now you're at Oracle Park. I think it's a much better matchup, but the Braves have lost Holmes' last 5 starts, so I'm going to roll with the Giants in this one and the under at Oracle Park to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comment section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.